Boom. Welcome, everyone. Hope you all had a great week this week. Hope you've been training and trying to stay fit. It looks like the lockdown will end soon, so hopefully we'll be back on these mats very soon, okay? So today we're going to look at how to improve your jiu-jitsu, okay? Some of these can cross over to Muay Thai as well, but I'm gonna talk about today purely with jiu-jitsu in mind for the moment, okay? There's basically 3 steps that we go through, or I go through, when I look at trying to improve my jiu-jitsu. And as I go through it, I'll at the end of each section, I'll give you a bit of time to maybe ask me some questions if you like. More than happy for you to ask questions. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. I will cater this more to, I guess, the beginners. So if you're a white or blue belt, you've just started, or if you're at blue belt, you're not sure what you're doing yet, or you're sort of a little bit lost, that's sort of what I'm catering to, because I think some of the higher ranks are doing this, a lot of this already, just as a matter of course. They just sort of learned it themselves, and I kind of learned this myself as well throughout the years. Okay, so just give you some background. I come from an engineering background, so a lot of my approach to jiu-jitsu is very much problem-based, problem-solving based, and process-based, okay? And this is what it'll be like for my, I guess, approach to improving jiu-jitsu as well. Okay, so there's 3 different steps for me to improve my jiu-jitsu. So firstly, that's identify. Secondly is to problem solve. And lastly is to implement. Okay, so we're gonna go through it step by step. So firstly, identify. Okay, so from a pure white belt's point of view, right? Like if you just started, it's your first, few weeks, maybe first couple months into jiu-jitsu, you might not be able to identify everything in details, right? There's always levels to this, right? So for example, if you're a beginner, you just started, you start wrestling, and the first thing that you think about is, all right, someone just mounted me. So what went wrong, okay? I keep getting mounted, what's going on, okay? So that could just be part of identifying for you, okay? Let's say if you are a 4-stripe white belt, and you kind of get things a little bit better now, and you sort of know where the positions are. For you, it might be, hey, I keep getting passed to mount from underneath from half guard, right? So you have an extra bit of understanding as to where things went wrong, okay? So you gotta identify firstly what went wrong. So very important, identify. Now, you should also identify what went right. So for example, if you're a white belt, if you just started, it could be like, well, I don't know, I'm keep getting mounted, but I'm able to get out, and they mount me again. I'm able to get out, mount me again, right? So identify what went wrong and also identify what went right. Okay, for maybe someone with a bit more experience, you might be like, okay, I keep getting past my half guard to mount, but they're not able to pass the side control. They can only go to mount, right? So that helps identify again what went right and what went wrong. Okay, so there's 2 things. Now, in order to identify, there's a few ways you can do it, right? The easiest way is videotape. Tape yourself. Get your phone out, record your rolls, and go, hey, I'll keep going into this position. Let's see what's happening. Go with a partner that would get you in those positions and get you into those bad positions, and videotape those rolls, and then we'll help you identify. Okay. Now, secondly, ask your partners, what happened? What do they do? How come you keep mounting me? Okay, what am I doing that is giving you these options to get to mount, right? Like, how are you mounting me? How are you passing my half guard into mount, right? And if you can't, ask a coach. Here we have 3 coaches, 4 coaches actually, that's on staff. Mr. William in the corner there. So ask one of us to watch you roll and go, hey, Coach Wade, I'm constantly getting mounted. Can you just have a look? Can you have a quick look? I'll be like, yeah, sure. And I'll be like, oh, okay, that's why. Okay, so ask one of your coaches, okay? And then obviously you have to think about it yourself, review it, think about, okay, I keep getting mounted, or I keep getting in under side control. Somebody keeps opening my legs when they're in close guard. Have a think about it first, okay? Which then goes on to DOS, okay? Then we move on. Once you review what went wrong and what went right, you can then start to problem solve, okay? This is basically when we look at, firstly, what went wrong in more detail, okay? So if you're a beginner, you understand, okay, I keep getting mounted and keep getting squashed under mount, okay? Let's look at that in detail. Where do they start from? Where do they start mounting you from? Was it from passing your guard? Was it from they took you back and mounted you? Was it from, you were just laying back and they just went to mount? Or was it from a takedown? They took you down and went to mount. You need to look at the problems in more detail. Otherwise, yeah, all good for you to go, okay? So again, what happened in detail, you gotta figure out what happened in more detail, okay? Again, there's a few ways you can do this. You can firstly, before I go ahead, also look at what went right in detail too. So it's basically what went wrong, what went right in detail. Have a look at why things were happening, okay? And to do that, again, firstly, the most easiest way is watch your videotapes, review your videotapes, and then self-reflect, okay? Have a think about it yourself and think about how you can problem solve the issue, okay? So have a look at why you can, how you can basically get rid of the problem first yourself, okay? Now, this is where you'll brainstorm and have some ideas, which is great. Now, secondly, as before, ask your partners, okay? Ask your partners, hey, you keep mounting me, how are you mounting me? Like, what particular thing you're doing to mount me, okay? Just ask them. If you're a little bit more advanced, you can ask, hey, so I've noticed that every time you put your arm here, I can't stop it. What are you doing differently to everyone else that's doing it, okay? You can ask for specific detail, okay? And as before, you can also ask your coaches, right? You can ask your coaches, hey, can you just watch me roll? All right, keep getting mounted here. I'm not quite sure how they're doing it. I feel like their hips are a little bit stronger, or I can't break the grip, or whatever it is, right? Now, if it's something small, coaches can probably fix it straight on the spot, right? But I guess a bit of shameless plug here. But if you have some issue that requires a lot of detail, privates are perfect for those instances, right? There's four or five coaches here. You can definitely ask them, hey, I've got this particular problem. Can you help me troubleshoot? Let's do a private. Okay, so privates are great for that sort of situation where you have a specific problem and you self-reflected, you've asked your partners, and you're just not getting to the root of the problem. Okay, it's just not solving itself properly. Okay, that's when it's great to have a one-on-one session with your coach. Okay, now once you've had sort of all this brainstorming ideas, whether it's, so after your brainstorming session, once you've had an idea of, okay, I can do this, I can do that, I can try and play with this, I've asked my coach, he can tell me this, I've asked my partners, they're saying they're doing this, and let's see what I can do to resolve it, right? So now is when you go into drilling, okay? When you drill, there's a few different ways you can drill. So there's a bit of controversy, back in the days where about, okay, how do you, is it better to drill or not drill? I think it's a bit of a misnomer, and I'll go over why, okay? Now, so let me borrow Coach Will here today. Okay. All right. Okay, so for example, right, we have our standard drilling, right, which is where we drill our movements, right? That's great once you have an idea of what you want to do, okay? But let's say, for example, actually you get on top, Coach Willis. Okay, let's say go back to what we were just talking about, getting mounted, right? Let's say we start from open guard, right? Coach Will mounts me, which way, boom. Okay, all right, no problems. I've identified, hold for a second, start from again. Identified that's how he got to mount. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna go, he drags. All right, what do I do when he drags? Scoot away. Okay, so you gotta understand at each step what we can do. So switch, hip scoot away, Then what do? Oh, maybe I have to square my hips up. But then Will have a counter. So what will he do once we get there? He steps side. All right, cool. He gets a side control. Okay, I've solved one problem. Now he presented me with another problem. No problems. So let's say he tries to go to mount. He gets his leg in, cross feet. I catch my half guard back. Okay, no problems. You kind of present a little bit of everything to him, and he will give you a little bit of their counters back. Okay, so once we get here, then what are you gonna do to mount? He grabs a knee, sits, passes again to side control. Boom, awesome. Okay, that's fine. He may have got to side control, but he didn't get to mount, right? So Coach Will would have to have something to give me when I give him something, right? So you gotta have a bit of a play, okay? So play around with a little bit when you have your sort of brainstorming ideas from your partners, from your coaches, from your self-reflection, right? Have some ideas, then play around with it with basically no resistance, like 20%, 30% resistance, just so your partner can give you something to play with, okay? Once you've identified a couple of solutions, then you move into what I call drilling the movements, right? This is what we usually do when we're drilling, right? Which is basically non-resistant. So let's say I just want to drill the part where Will leg drags. I don't want to square up. He leg drags again. I want to square up. He leg drags again. I want to square up. Okay, I think you get the idea. This is where you drill the movements so it becomes a little bit like second nature, right? Like just playing around, right? You kind of get that, then you make it into something a little bit more solid that you can remember. Your muscle memory can kick in and sort of remember next time if something happens, you can go into it instead of you going, oh no, what happened now? Okay, so have a play, then trial and error. Once you've done that with sort of 20, 30% resistance, then you drill the movements that have worked. Okay, that's when you drill the movements that have worked. Okay, now, once you've drilled the movements that have worked, then you go on to specific drilling, specific training style drilling with resistance. Okay, when you do this, make sure you actually try the moves that you've trialed and errored, played with, and also you've drilled the movements for. Okay, because that's how you know whether it will work or not. Now you're always going to make adjustments, which is fine. Okay, so drill those specific movements, play, drill, then specific drilling. Okay, for me that's what drilling is. It's not just doing one movement over and over again. It's like you got to play around, you got to drill the movement, then you got to specifically train it. That's drilling for me. Okay. Okay, so once you have all these brainstorming ideas that come out, then you can kind of look at where certain things are happening, right? So for example, when Coach Will was trying to mount me earlier, right? So let's say he leg drags, boom, he gets here, right? I defend one way, he goes the other way, boom, okay? That's no problems. Now I've got another problem to solve. So now let's see what else he does. I'm gonna counter again, boom, counters again. Okay, but now he's on side control, not on mount anymore, right? Which means I've solved the problem a little bit, okay? And then it's a different problem to solve right now, okay? So you can always play around. Once you've done your brainstorming ideas, then you play around and see what other problems present itself. That's when you kind of branch out your jiu-jitsu, okay? So that's when you can sort of develop your own jiu-jitsu a little bit, okay? So before we go on, all this drilling should be done with one partner in mind, okay? So for Coach Will, he's very lucky. He has a brother roughly the same age, roughly the same weight most of the time, and the same level, right? Which is perfect, because that's what you want when you're drilling, is that you want someone not too far away from you in terms of weight and skill level, okay? If you're a beginner white belt, someone one stripe is perfect for you too, okay? Because you need someone to present you with problems, but also not overwhelm you with too many problems. Okay? You want someone to be able to drill with you, to give you that feedback that you can actually use. Okay? Because if you just get bombarded with ideas, bombarded with problems, you're just going to get lost. Okay? So ideally, go with someone that's roughly the same weight and the same rank as you, same level of experience as you. Okay? Now, once you've done that a few times, you can then review and take notes and make notes on any adjustments you need to make, any sort of direction. For example, Coach Will provided me just then that I have to sort of adjust and then write notes about, and then come back and try and problem solve again, and then it becomes a huge cycle. right? So once you've done that with just the one partner, you can then sort of then bring it out to the general public. That's when we implement our game and our moves that we've been drilling into a more generalized population, I guess, to train with other people, right? For example, it's a perfect opportunity where, for example, when you do specific training with a bunch of people, right? So for example, I've been drilling with Will all this time on defending the leg drag, okay? So, but now I have to maybe do more specific training in a more generalized manner. Like for example, maybe we just start from open guard. Instead of when we were practicing, we were just practicing from the leg drag portion here, right? Just from the leg drag portion here. But now we're gonna have to go from maybe here, and then there's so many problems that present themselves. So I can't, so you have to leg drag that way. Okay, boom. I have to then adapt and learn, okay? So you start from very specific drilling with your partner, and when you go into the wider public, you then look at more generalized specific training, okay? And this is obviously at full resistance now, okay? Once you've done that, once you've done specific training, then you can go into broader sparring with lots of different people where you have to get into the situation from anywhere, right? Not just from one particular area. If you're getting mounted, you might be getting mounted from all sorts of different areas, okay? Which then you need to look at, okay, how do I stop this person and his particular way of mounting me, all right? And then, again, you always do this in cycles in that you have a problem, you identify what's going on, what's going right, you problem solve and go through all the steps, and then you implement your revised solution again. Okay, that's how you always go around in circles. Now the ultimate in implementing your game is competition. Okay, when you're in competition, they will give you a set of problems that you may have never seen before because you've never trained with them before. You might not have been exposed to what they're going to present, and that's where you test your problem solving skills and your solutions against somebody else at full resistance. Okay, so again, if it works, great. But you should always review your competition in that what went wrong, what went right, even if you won, even if you submitted the guy in 10 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever it is, you look at, man, what went really right and what could have been done better. Okay, and that's how you improve. Okay, you're always reviewing, identifying, back to step one, you're looking at what went wrong, what went right, videotape yourself, ask your partners, ask your coaches, and then you go into the problem-solving section where you look at the things that went wrong and right in detail. You then self-reflect about how you can change that, what you can do to prevent that from next time. And you can ask your partners again, like I said, hey, I got on this thing during comp, for example, what would you do? Okay? Or ask your coaches, hey, I got in this position, what can I do from this position? And of course, privates and one-on-ones are perfect for that. Okay? And then you can drill again with your regular partner. Say, hey man, I'm having this problem. Can you get me in this position? Let's see what I can do to resolve it. Okay, and that's how the cycle keeps going and going and going. Okay, and that's why guys like Will, when he's in comp, he wants to go against guys that have beaten him before because he wants to solve that problem. Okay, you always want to test yourself against the best there is and against guys that have presented you problems that you couldn't solve initially. Okay, because now you can try and go back and get, hey, I want that you get me in this same thing again this time, okay? All right? That's why people are motivated to do that, okay? But that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, please contact us on social media. Hopefully you guys continue training and found this helpful. Good luck.